Talking about my father, John C. Swann, who is a native of White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, was born there on November 12, 1943. He did actually help integrate his high school there in White Sulphur Springs. So White Sulphur Springs High School, there was a one-room school in Lewisburg that the black students used to attend, and MLK came to my grandfather's church, the United Methodist Church, the Black United Methodist Church in there, to talk to them about integrating the school. So, and based on what we've heard from, he didn't make the trip to go to White Sulphur. He was in Charleston or Huntington and heard about this, so they brought him down. When Dr. King asked, well, what families are willing to do this? My father and my grandfather and Mr. Manyweather both volunteered. So my cousin's grandfather volunteered their sons without hesitation. He integrated a high school, much like Ernie Green did there in Little Rock, but without the cameras, the fanfare, the media, but had very similar stories and experiences with how difficult that was in a community that honestly probably wasn't ready, but was forced to. He actually led his high school basketball team to the state championship and lost in the finals. And his performance during that time garnered him some interest from Miami University. My dad was easily the first set of 5 black ball players at Miami. They may have been, if they weren't first, they were the second, but the first set of black ball players to play on Vandy's court. There were things that his coach took for granted, them being in Nashville, because they couldn't stay with the rest of the team as a result. So, even my father's hometown, there are homes in that black community that are in the Green Book. The house that one of my grandfather's sisters ended up living in, and that my grandfather's sisters followed Miss Catherine John, Hidden Figures, up to West Virginia State, but the house that she ended up living in was one of those houses that was in the Green Book. My father's experience has been amazing, and much like his father was just as kind and gentle, they didn't internalize this to, and have them be angry and bitter. It did not define who they were and shape them and allowed them to be the good, kind, caring men that they were. My mother, while he was in school, they actually were married in December of '67 and then moved to Cleveland, and both of them started their careers in education. My mom, an elementary school teacher. My father was doing the audiovisual. I think he actually helped develop the audiovisual program at Shaw High School, but in '68, '69 was afforded the opportunity to work for a national nonprofit that was based in New York. RTP, or Recruitment Training Incorporated, had offices in all of the major urban settings, and Ernie Green of the Little Rock 9 is who actually hired my father to move us to New York, where he was able actually to work closely with the A. Philip Randolph Foundation and kind of cut his teeth under Mr. Randolph and Bayard Rustin, but Dorothy Height also was involved with what they were doing from a recruitment and training program, and helping get minorities into skilled labor positions, so helping with a joint apprenticeship program. And Ms. Height was working with women to help get African American women to break that glass ceiling. He then moved into the education field, which is what he was doing a lot of with the recruitment and training. He was doing a lot of the testing to get minorities to pass those apprenticeship programs to be pipe fitters, electricians, etc., but moved into education in DC public schools and kind of ran their testing department, which is what similarly brought him here to Dayton. So relationships in DC allowed him to move back into Ohio in '91 to work here in the Dayton public school system until he retired. My brother and I's experiences, even growing up and seeing Miss Height and sitting on Mr. Randolph's lap and knowing by Russ, we knew they were important people, but it wasn't until I got to college that I really understood just how important and what their impact was. And knowing more about even how my father integrated the school, I'm like, wait a minute, this is around the same time that Ernie was going to, the same time Little Rock Nine was going, but there were no cameras, there was no press, there was no media. So my father had to deal with this by himself, the people that influenced him and helped mold and shape him as a younger man. Because again, he counts Mr. Randolph and Mr. Rustin as mentors. Their quiet strength and humility was amazing as well. So the things that we were able to participate in, see, and partake in, was amazing, and just, an amazing father. And my brother and I are truly thankful for just how well-rounded and how enriched our lives will be. I couldn't imagine not having their guidance, their leadership, and how well they grounded us. My parents were very clear that they were raising us, and my relationship with my parents changed dramatically. So it's been a joy to transition from them being my parents, very loving and caring, and made a lot of sacrifices to kind of make sure that my brother and I's lives were comfortable and stable. But moving up in mid-20s, my relationship was able to change because he became more than just a father. Although we were friends growing up, our relationship evolved over time. So I was very proud to be able to see him in his professional spaces, in his spaces with his teammates at Miami, and just how he affects those around him and how much people care about him, which just allows me to beam with pride in a lot of spaces because he means so much to so many people.